Hi, welcome back to Spring CS170. I'm going to run through a couple of examples on the for loops to continue on from the last lecture. So I already set this up in js.do, but here it is. Let me move this so it's a little bit more clear. So you can see the text. I set the text to be the leaky faucet went, and then you have this loop. Here's the initialize, right? J equals to 0, var, right? So I declared the J, and then I initialized it to be 0, and then I said J is less than 3, and then J equals to J plus 1, and then text equals to text plus strip, right? And what does that mean? You're basically doing concatenation, right? Remember we did that from the last lecture where we did the string. You would put the two together. That's concatenation. Okay, so text equals to text plus all night long. This is after it comes out from the loop, and then we'll do an alert to show what it looks like. And you can see down here that's what happened. But I actually put it here in JSDO, same thing, right? So here's the script, here's the leaky faucet, here's the for loop, initialize, the comparison, the incrementer or the update, and then the command you're executing, all within your curly brackets. So you can do multiple commands, and then you run it, right? And then here you go, right? Leaky faucet went drip, 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 right? 3 times, right? Remember, key thing here, we're starting with 0. So when you start from 0, you're going less than 3, that's 3 times. If you kind of play around with it, you'll see what I mean. And that's why you get 3 trips here, and then all night long. Okay? So hopefully you can follow that straightforward example on doing a for loop. You can play around with it, like I said. You can do j equals to j minus 1. You can do j plus plus. You can do j minus minus. You can do j equals to j plus 3. There's a lot of ways you can play around with how you update these numbers. It goes all over the place, right? How you do the comparison. Well, it could always be something that is going up, so you want less than some number, right, to get out of the loop, or you can be going negative, so you can flip it around, going the other way. So be aware of that, because you'll probably get some variation of that for the test. You're not going to just get something like j equals to 0, j is less than 3, j equals to j plus plus, right? That's or j equal is equal to j plus plus, right? That's pretty much the standard for loop. So you'll probably get some other variation like I just mentioned there. Okay, so make sure you understand that. So here's another iteration, right? In this case, you have the same form. You have the j equals to 1, and then now instead of j is less than the number, you say j is less than or equal to the number. So now you got the same 5 loops here. And then j equals to j plus 1. Okay, and then you can do some math here. You can do answer equals to answer plus j, right? So it's not always going to be a plus 1. It could be a plus 2, plus 3, so on and so forth. Okay, so you can try this on your own. This is just a reminder. You can do j plus plus in lieu of j equals to j plus 1. Okay. You can also do this j plus equals to 1. I probably wouldn't suggest doing that at this level, right? I think for what you guys are doing, I would say j equals to j plus 1 or j plus plus is appropriate. You're doing stuff like this, if you have years of experience with programming, you know, this is something that is fine, but I think it's more readable and more easier to follow if you use these first 2 options here. Okay. And then this is just kind of going some variations, like I just said, right? It doesn't have to be integer, right? It could be a fractional number. So here, you're starting with the j at 3.5, and you're doing increments of 0.5, right? Here, you're starting off with j as a negative number, and then you're kind of working your way up. Like it says here, it doesn't have to be in increments of 1. Look at this one. It's going to plus 5, right? J equals to j plus 5. You can also go negative, j equals to j minus 1. So that's what I kind of alluded to before. So infinite loops, generally not desirable. Like I said, occasionally there are situations where you want something to be an infinite loop, but I think the way programming languages are set up right now, to be more event-based type of programming, you really don't need it. So it used to be like kind of in the old days before they have more of this event-driven programming, you might have something like a game or something that's keep on running to infinity, and then you're kind of doing different things, and maybe you get killed, and that's how you get out of the game or something like that. But until you get killed, it's just going to keep on going forever, for example, right? So you can have something that's constantly running and listening for certain things to happen, and then it acts on it, right? But that's kind of like old style type of programming, and with the event-driven stuff now, you don't really need to do stuff like that. But there are potentially some cases where you can run loops infinitely, right? But for the purpose of this class, we'll say infinite loops are not desirable, okay? And so how can that happen? Well, if you have something like j is less than 3, but instead of saying I equals to I plus 1, you said I equals to I minus 1, right? And then it will just keep on going the other way, and therefore it will just be going forever, right? So you need to pay attention to this. Sometimes at the beginning, maybe you put some alerts in here just to kind of watch it go through the loop to make sure the loop is behaving in the way that you want, okay? And you can do nested loops, right? So you see this nested loop here. This is considered the outer loop, right? And then within that, you have an inner loop, okay? So in this case, it's demonstrating going 60 minutes, and then within each minute, there's 60 seconds, right? So it's just nesting the seconds within the minutes, okay? So you can try this on your own if you would like, okay? Here's something else in terms of like playing around with nested loops. So in this case, you're doing all of the different rows, but at the same time you're doing columns too, right? So if you kind of do that, you'll be incrementing your columns at the same time you're incrementing your rows, okay? So if you do some right, you'll see something like you can make like a Christmas tree pattern or a pyramid pattern or something like that. So again, something else you can play around with and see if you can get the gist of these nested loops. Okay, well, so here's the Christmas tree pattern, right? You got this ramp going down like that, right? And that's because it's incrementing. So for every row that you go down, your column is going bigger and bigger, right? So that's why you keep on getting these numbers of stars or asterisks going bigger and bigger. In this case, you're going negative, right? So you're doing a minus, and so that's why it keeps on going down like that. Okay, and so here, this is pretty much covering the loops section here, and then this last slide here is going into a simple array. So you can see this is how we declare an array, or one way to declare an array. So you can declare it as a people, right? Var people equals, and then here, keywords here, new and array, and then you can open paren, close paren, and put all the different values within the array that you would like. In this case, you're putting in names of people, okay? And then we can leverage what we just learned recently by using the for loop to say, well, here's how many people, right? So while I is 0 to the number of people, so that's the people.length is the length of this array. The length is how many elements you have within the array. And then you keep on going through I++, and then you can write out the names of all the people, right? So this people with these brackets and the I, that's how you reference each of the buckets within the array. Okay, we'll go more into this as I cut more videos related to arrays, but what we've done here with this video is conclude the discussion on loops. Namely, for loops is the main loops that you'll be using in this class. So if there's any questions, just send me an email. All right, thank you.